It is 9:21 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. It is the third day of February 2026. This is episode 1249 of Bitcoin, and the government has indeed taken control of $400 million of Bitcoin and other assets tied to the Helix mixer. That's going to start us out today with all the news that you can use here on the Bitcoin and podcast with me, your host, David Bennett. Then we're going to move over and see what Cathie Woods is doing because, well, Cathie Wood always, she seems to be like a canary in the coal mine, and she is buying. We'll tell you what here in a sec. Senator warns of potentially criminal conduct over a deal made with Liberty Financial. That would be Trump's family outfit. And then the link between Trump's Fed pick and our good friends over at Tether. Yes, I'm sure that'll be fine. And then we're going to run the numbers. We're going to start out with the Jolt's jobs numbers came out today. Not what people were looking for, I can tell you that. And then, in the second part of the show, does Israel control Bitcoin? Oh God. You know, if it was up to the... If I put on my tinfoil hat and went full-blown tinfoil, baseball cap and foam finger number one, I would say Israel controls the entire world. They control Russia. They control China. They control the United States. They control all of everything, including Bitcoin. And it's bullshit. So please stop believing that. Back to Tether. They have they've launched an open source Bitcoin mining OS. And then we're going to go down south to Venezuela, where a fugitive has been arrested with a whole lot of Bitcoin. Will they keep it or will they sell it? I don't know. And then we will end the day with ING Deutschland. They're launching crypto ETPs and ETNs. And we'll tell you for who, because, that actually ends up being fairly important. Now, on to the U.S. government, who has taken control of $400 million in Bitcoin and assets tied to the Helix mixer. Micah Zimmerman gives us an update here out of Bitcoin Magazine. The U.S. government has taken full legal ownership of more than $400 million in seized cryptocurrencies, cash, and real estate tied to Helix, once one of the most widely used Bitcoin mixing services on the dark net. A federal judge in Washington, D.C. entered a final order of forfeiture on January the 21st, transferring the assets to the government following the conviction of Helix operator Larry Dean Harmon. The forfeiture includes thousands of Bitcoin, hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash, and an Ohio mansion purchased during the peak of Helix's operation. Helix functioned as a cryptocurrency mixer, pooling and rerouting Bitcoin transactions to obscure their origins and destinations, and prosecutors say the service was built to serve, of course, darknet drug markets and was directly integrated into their withdrawal systems through an application programming interface, an API. And court records show that Helix processed roughly 354,000 Bitcoin during the years 2014 through 2017, worth about $300 million at the time, and Harmon pleaded guilty back in August of 2021. So what do these assets actually look like? Now that the government has taken control, we seem to have gotten sort of a manifest of what the government, now owns or stole. I don't know, whatever. Among the forfeited assets is a 4,099 square foot home in Akron, Ohio. Akron. Nothing against the people in Akron. But I mean, if you've got that much money, you'd think that they would do something like go to Palm Springs or Palm Beach or something. But Akron, Ohio, this is sort of like how I always think about Warren Buffett, who's got a fabulous house in Omaha, Nebraska. Middle of corn country, man. Richest guy in the world, or arguably one of the top 2 or 3. And no, he's not living it up in the south of France. He didn't move to Hawaii. He didn't go to, I don't know, somewhere in British Columbia. He didn't buy, a massive ranch in southwestern Colorado. No, 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 no. Just chilling out in Omaha, Nebraska and Akron, Ohio it's not the same. It's a different state. It's a different geography, but still it's not LA. And I would never move to LA either. I'm just saying it just seems a little strange that this 4,000 square foot home in Akron, Ohio, and it was purchased by Harmon and his wife in 2016 for $680,000. Well, automated estimates place its current value between $780,000 and $950,000, according to Realtor.com. Now, how can you buy a house for $680,000 back in 2016 and have it only be worth $780,000 to $950,000 today? After all we've seen in the real estate market, that number should be a lot higher, but whatever. The property sits on a modest 1.1 or 1.21 acre lot and includes multiple fireplaces, a fire pit in the backyard, and a whirlpool tub. And federal officials say that the home will be sold at auction by the IRS, in addition to the real estate. Prosecutors seized more than $325,000 in cash and 4,500 Bitcoin. It's now valued at roughly $355 million at current prices. Quote, this case shows that the darknet is not a safe haven for criminal activity, U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro said in a statement, adding that law enforcement will continue to pursue cyber-enabled financial crimes. Harmon was reportedly released from prison in December 2025 through an early release program after completing drug rehabilitation. He has said that he plans to restart a legitimate Bitcoin education business and is seeking new housing following the forfeiture. So they stole all his shit. Left the man penniless after years in prison for, because he was selling drug or enabling drug sales. Yeah, well, obfuscation of drug sales. This is the same thing as Samurai. He's built a mixer. People use the mixer for their own thing. Darknet markets, got the API and put it, embedded it directly into their websites. Harmon didn't do that himself. Harmon just built the mixer. But, if you're outside of the boundaries of the United States federal government, this is what you get. You get all your shit stolen. Kathy Wood's ARK buys over $70 million of crypto stocks as Bitcoin slides. Why is she doing it? Does she see a bottom? Well, this is out of CoinDesk, and it is written by none other than Sam Reynolds. Kathy Wood's ARK continues to be a dip buyer, snapping up shares worth several $million on Monday as the market swoon offered bargain prices. The firm bought approximately $72 million worth of crypto stocks across its various funds as Bitcoin fell briefly to below 75,000, leading to widespread losses in crypto-linked equities. The purchases spanned exchanges, brokerages, and infrastructure providers with Robinhood, Circle Internet, Coinbase, Bullish, CoreWeave, BitMine, Immersion Technologies, and Block among the names added across ARK-F, ARK-K, and ARK-W funds, according to daily disclosures. Bullish is the parent company of CoinDesk, by the way. Across its funds, ARK Invest bought about $32.7 million of Robinhood, $14.6 million of CoreWeave, $9.4 million of Circle, $6.3 million of BitMine, $6 million worth of Bullish, and $1.9 million worth of Block, and finally $1.3 million of Coinbase. So Coinbase was the least amount of purchasing for Kathy Wood this time around. The strategy aligns with ARK's long-stated approach of buying into equity weakness tied to broader crypto volatility, betting that cyclical downturns eventually give way to renewed adoption and higher transaction volumes. The latest dip buying operation follows the firm's $21.5 million late January purchase of Coinbase, Circle, and Bullish stock as Bitcoin slid under $90,000. It also aligns with CEO Cathie Wood's recent argument that Bitcoin can be a good source of diversification for investors, citing ARC research showing the token's correlations with stocks, bonds, and gold have historically been weaker than those assets' correlations with each other. So what it really means is that we're looking at what Cathie is doing. And she is buying quite a bit. I mean, honestly, $70 million for a fund or group of funds the size of Cathie Wood's ARK Invest is pretty significant. So the question becomes, what does Cathie see? Does she see a bottom? Is she prepared for a further slide downwards? Because the jobs report came in this morning and people are none too happy, and Bitcoin's reacting accordingly and going back from 77,000 to, I think it was at 75,500 just a few minutes ago. We'll see what the new number is by the time we hit the middle of the show. But the question remains, what does Cathie see? She's not an idiot. What does Cathie see? I think she sees a potential bottom here. That's what I think she sees. Is it true? Well, only time will tell. But we've got other bigger fish to fry. Senator warns of potentially criminal conduct over United Arab Emirates World Liberty Financial Deal, Vismaya V writing for Decrypt. Senator Chris Murphy warned on Monday that those involved in alleged secret payments from a UAE investor could face jail time, describing the situation as potentially criminal conduct tied to the transfer of sensitive defense technology following a deal involving Trump-linked crypto firm World Liberty Financial. Quote, a UAE investor secretly gave Trump $187 million and his top Middle East envoy $31 million. And then Trump gave that investor access to sensitive defense technology that broke decades of national security precedent, Murphy tweeted. Quote, brazen, open corruption, and we shouldn't pretend that it's normal. Have you seen Nancy Pelosi lately? And Elizabeth Warren? I'm just saying, sauce is fit for the goose. And the allegations stem from a deal in which Aryam Investment, a UAE-backed entity tied to Sheikh Tahnoon bin Zayed, agreed to purchase 49% stake in Trump-linked crypto firm World Liberty Financial for $500 million just 4 days before Trump's inauguration. Per the Wall Street Journal's reporting, roughly $187 million was directed to Trump family entities and at least $31 million to entities affiliated with the family of Special Envoy Steve Witkoff. The deal preceded the Trump administration's approval of expanded UAE access to advanced U.S. AI chips that had been restricted under the Biden administration. Witkoff and Trump are listed as co-founders emeritus of World Liberty Financial, the decentralized finance firm behind the USD1 stablecoin. The firm asserts that Trump and his family members do not hold any role as director, officer, or employee of the firm. The controversy comes amid ongoing concerns about potential conflicts of interest between Trump's crypto ventures and national security policy decisions. Speaking on the Senate floor, Murphy summarized the alleged sequence as covert multi-million-dollar transfers to Trump-linked and envoy-linked families, followed by the sharing of restricted U.S. security technology with the UAE. Quote, that is corruption. Those are the elements of a bribe. This is potentially criminal conduct, Senator Murphy said. He warned that accountability may be delayed under the current government, but insisted consequences are inevitable, saying, quote, the rule of law is coming back, and that those who traded official favors for money are going to jail. Okay, have you looked at the Clintons? Have you looked at the Bushes? Have you looked at Obama? Have you looked at the other Bushes? Have you looked at all of these guys? It doesn't make it right. And no, so you're just going to selectively do this one, but you're not going to look at the corruption in your own party. Will anybody call out both fucking parties for the scumbag pieces of shit that they are? It is not the parties. It's not because Republicans just suck in general or Democrats just suck in general. It's the people in power positions that are populating said Republican and Democratic parties. And here's what I say. There is no difference between them other than what they say to the media. It's what they do that matters. And I see absolutely no difference at all between two warmongering, deeply corrupt rafts of human filth. Anyway, on to some more human filth with Senator Elizabeth Warren. She's the ranking member of the Senate Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs Committee, and she previously told Decrypt that the situation represents corruption, plain and simple, demanding the Trump administration reverse its decision to sell sensitive AI chips to the UAE. Quote, Trump gets $500 million in cash, then approves a deal sending advanced AI chips to the UAE. Blatant corruption. He gets richer every day. You get poorer. That's his presidency, Congressman Greg Landsman tweeted on Monday. And since last year, Warren had been and has been continuously warning about the Trump family's crypto ties to the UAE, urging the Senate not to pass the Genius Act to facilitate corruption tied to a shady $2 billion investment by a maritime firm, MGX, into Binance that would use USD1 as a settlement currency. The White House and World Liberty Financial, well, they did not immediately respond to requests for comments. You think? You think? Screw it. Hey, you hungry? Sats4snacks.com. That's Sats, the number 4snacks.com. My good friend Permanerd wants to sell you freeze-dried pineapple, freeze-dried peaches, freeze-dried mangoes, freeze-dried bananas. Oh, and he's got separate packs now of freeze-dried strawberries. Most of these you can be getting them for yourself for 49,000 satoshis. They're all in 5-packs, so it's not just one pack. You get 5 aluminum pouches of freeze-dried goodies. And if you've had freeze-dried fruit versus just dehydrated fruit, then you know the difference. If you've only had dehydrated fruit, you got to try the freeze-dried version of this stuff. The texture is completely different, and the flavor pops in your mouth in a way that dehydrated fruit just won't give you. All right. It's a completely different flavor profile. It's a completely different experience. Go to sats4snacks.com. That's sats4snacks.com and get 2.1% off with coupon code Bitcoin and. That's sats, the number 4 snacks.com. Use Bitcoin and for a 2.1% off of your purchase. This stuff is awesome. Now, the link between Trump's Fed pick and Tether's, quote, made in America stablecoin. The washing machine continues to kick on. Andre Bagansky from Decrypt has this one. Kevin Warsh, President Donald Trump's nominee to chair the Federal Reserve, helped shape Anchorage Digital, a key player in Tether's efforts to gain a regulated foothold in U.S. markets. Prior to being tapped by Trump for the role on Friday, Warsh served as an advisor to Anchorage Digital for years. The American financier and bank executive was listed on the company's website as an advisor, but he was removed sometime after January the 16th, per the Internet Archive. On Friday, Anchorage Digital co-founder and CEO Nathan McCauley said on X that he, quote, couldn't be more excited about Warsh's nomination, noting that he has been an advisor to Anchorage since the very beginning. Anchorage Digital serves as the issuer of Tether's USAT. When the stablecoin was launched last week, Tether CEO Paolo Ardoino declared that it would be, quote, made in America, representing its first product to comply with stablecoin regulation passed into law this summer. If Warsh was still an advisor to Anchorage, it would establish a link between him and Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. prior to his own nomination, Lutnick led Cantor Fitzgerald, the investment bank that custodies a portion of Tether's reserves for USDT. Quote, "We are grateful to Kevin Warsh for providing counsel to Anchorage Digital for many years and wish him the best throughout the confirmation process as he is a phenomenal candidate," an Anchorage spokesperson told Decrypt. Cantor's role in safeguarding assets that back the $185 million, $185 billion stablecoin has been known for years. But Tether signaled last week that the Wall Street giant would also serve as USAT's designated reserve custodian, as well as its primary preferred dealer. Tether's flagship stablecoin is partially backed by assets including gold and Bitcoin, which doesn't align with U.S. requirements for stablecoin issuers under the new regulation. However, the firm, based in El Salvador, has said that USAT will abide by the framework using a bank as infrastructure that Trump's nominee for Fed chair has had a business relationship with. Oh, what tangled webs we weave. Trump's nomination of Warsh comes at a time where there is heightened fear about the central bank's continued independence. This is odd. Now everybody's talking about the Fed being independent. All of us tinfoil hatters were telling you that it didn't have as much to do with the federal government as Federal Express has to do with the federal government for years. And all of a sudden, over the last year, now people are going, oh, well, the Fed's independent. It's like we were telling you that 10 years ago. And you called us tinfoil hatters. The Overton window shifting it can be dizzying sometime. Anyway, throughout his second term, Trump has pressured current Fed Jerome Powell, or Fed Chair Jerome Powell, to lower interest rates. And the tension reached a breaking point last month with the revelation of a criminal investigation from the Department of Justice into Powell himself. Anchorage Digital was established in 2017. Years later, it became the first crypto bank to receive a federal charter in the United States, allowing it to serve as a regulated bridge between traditional banking systems and digital assets. Last May, Cantor Fitzgerald said that Lutnick had finalized a major divestiture of his interest in Cantor Fitzgerald and two subsidiaries to comply with government ethics agreements. His ownership interest in Cantor were transferred to trusts for the benefit of his children. Cantor declined to comment when reached by Decrypt, but on Saturday, Trump expressed confidence that Warsh will be confirmed in the U.S. Senate, per Reuters, as a high-quality person. Trump said Warsh could win support among some Democrats and that the American financier should have no trouble getting through. Really? Yeah, I don't know if I'd actually go that far there, Orange Man, but, hey, we'll have to see. And when I brought you the Warsh news earlier, was it like last Friday, I failed to really dig into the fact that, sure, well, I did dig into the ties that Warsh has with crypto, and he said some really good things about Bitcoin, and he seems to understand it and all that. And the question became, well, then why is everybody holding Bitcoin terrified of Warsh? And that answer was, well, because he kind of likes, sound monetary policy when it comes to the Federal Reserve. And that means higher interest rates. And that means it costs more to borrow money. If you're going to use that money to invest in something, all of a sudden borrowing that money doesn't look so good at 5, 6, 7% interest rates. It looks great at 2.3, 1.7, 1%. Doesn't look so hot right now, and he wants to raise rates. So why does Trump want this guy? If Trump wants rates to go down, then why would you get somebody who everybody pretty much is looked in his history and said, this is a guy that doesn't want to lower interest rates? So what's going on there? It's the same question as Cathie Wood. Why is Cathie Wood buying these stocks after this, immense sell-off of Bitcoin? Does she see a bottom? Sort of the same kind of thing here. What does Trump see in Warsh? If he wants low interest rates, And Warsh has a history of saying, I think interest rates should, not be low. Then what does Trump see? And I can't answer that question because I'm not in Orange Man's head, but it's good fuel for, thought experiments. So is it a bait and switch? Has him and Warsh worked out a deal? It's like, hey man, look, I know you like higher interest rates, but look, I want to get you into the Fed. I want to put you as chair. Let's work a deal. I know you don't like lower interest rates, but you need to lower interest rates. You need to be on my side with all this. And then all of a sudden, this guy maybe say, okay, you know what? I'll tell you what, I'll give you that shot because I'll still be sitting as Fed chair even after you're out of office, and I do whatever the hell I want as far as I think what's good for the country and the global economy. Blah blah blah, yada yada yada, yakety schmackety. But what the Democrats might be seeing here is like, oh my God, our enemy is making a mistake. He's going to put in somebody who's going to raise rates or never lower them. And the people on the street that voted Orange Man in are going to be pissed because they can't borrow cheap money. We need to confirm this guy. And it ain't exactly 4D chess. Hell, it ain't even 3D chess. It's just pure subterfuge. We'll see how it plays out. Let's move on to this. Oh, wait a minute. No, you know what? In fact, let's run the numbers. We're going to start off with the number of available jobs. So the jobs report came out this morning at 7 o'clock or so, and everybody's been waiting for this one. Here's CNN. Alicia Wallace is writing, the number of available jobs in the U.S. just hit its lowest level in more than a year. So this is impacting one of the two known mandates for the Federal Reserve. There's a third mandate, but we never talk about it. But it's interest rate control and full employment is the quote unquote, the twin mandates for the Federal Reserve. And this is definitely going to impact Federal Reserve decisions. Finding a job continued to be a slog at the end of the year, new data shows. U.S. businesses sought out fewer workers in November and hiring rates withered even further. The number of estimated job openings fell to its lowest level in more than a year, slumping to 7.15 million at the end of November from 7.45 million the month before, according to the latest job openings and labor turnover survey data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. So that's what the jobs report said. Less jobs are on the market for more people that are looking for jobs. And one of the mandates of the Federal Reserve is full employment. So what does Warsh, even though we're kind of months away from him actually sitting down as Fed chair, what does Warsh do with this? Because one of the ways to get more employment for the Fed is to lower interest rates so that business owners can borrow money cheaply to expand or start operations, which would require more people to be hired. So what does Jerome Powell do with this? What happens at the next Fed meeting? Will they lower rates because of this? I don't know. But the rest of the markets don't like this shit. And we'll start with energy. CNBC Futures and Commodities. Brent North Sea, energy's doing fine this morning as well as shiny metal rocks, but Brent North Sea is up 1.5 to 67.35 a barrel. Oil is up, or West Texas Intermediate is up 1.75 to 63.23 a barrel. Natural gas is up 2.75, but after a 25% decline in the one day that was yesterday, we are only at $3.25 per thousand cubic feet. Gasoline is up 2 1/3 to $1.89 a gallon, and Murban crude, everybody's favorite light sweet crude, is up 2.28% to $68.02. Palladium is up 3.1%. Gold is up 6.5%. It's coming back. $4,955 and 1 dime. Platinum is up 5%. Silver is up almost 10% to 84.19 cents. Copper is up 4.14%. Ag is fully mixed today. Biggest loser is coffee, 5% to the downside. Biggest winner is sugar, 2.5% to the upside. Meanwhile, live cattle up 0.5%. Lean hogs up 1.4%. And feeder cattle are up 1/3. Here's where everybody is losing their shit. The S&P is down a row of sticks, 1.11% to the downside. NASDAQ is down 2 points. The Dow is down 0.6, and the S&P Mini is down 0.39%. So they didn't like the jobs report, even though it does suggest that the Fed might have to have, that would give the Fed a little bit more ammunition to lower rates without Jerome Powell shitting the bed. But I don't think they're buying it. I think equities and the broader legacy financial system is sort of going, yeah, that's not enough job loss for us to think that Jerome Powell isn't going to shit the bed if somebody suggests lowering interest rates. So yeah, we're punching out. And they're punching out a Bitcoin too at $75,020, now down to a $1.5 trillion market cap. We can only get 15.2 ounces of our favorite shiny metal rock with our one Bitcoin, of which there are 19,983,735 and 1/2 of. And average fees per block are high, 0.03 BTC, taken in fees on a per block basis. There are about 58 blocks carrying 50,000 unconfirmed transactions, waiting to clear at high priority rates of 3 sats per VByte. Low priorities get you in at 1. Mining. Yes, we've lost more. No, actually, we're at the same as yesterday for hash rate. So hash rate on the Bitcoin network is 874 exahashes per second. We have still not really recovered from the winter storm. So who knows how long that's going to take. But the difficulty adjustment is coming up. Let's see. When is that coming up? Dude, 4 days. 15% to the downside difficulty adjustment is going to happen because blocks are taking, how long are they taking on average? 11.8 minutes. So there you go. From AI's False God, yesterday's episode of Bitcoin, and I've got Nostr Gang with 121 sats says thanks. Well, thanks. Richard Whitman says, with 200 sats, just checked, and David Bennett is not in the Epstein emails. So you can have some Satoshis. Oh, thank God I'm not mentioned. It means I was never on the plane, never on the island, wasn't diddling children. So this is good. This is good. I'm glad I was not there. Just saying. That's the weather report. Welcome to part 2 of the news that you can use. And speaking of the Epstein files, fact check. Do the Epstein files show Israel took control of Bitcoin? This is from coinpedia.org. Everybody get your tinfoil hats ready. As the Epstein files continue to be released, new claims are surfacing almost every day, raising serious concerns. And one recent claim circulating on X and within crypto circles allege that Israel secured or secretly gained control of the Bitcoin network more than a decade ago. No, this is not true. I'm sorry. This is just, we got to have some kind of laugh, right? Today's another one of these days. The claim also ties or tries to connect the newly discussed Epstein files with Bitcoin core developers, Blockstream, and Tether. So Coinpedia stepped in to fact check whether this claim is real or just another false allegation. So who made the claim? Well, the claim was made by Swandesk CEO Jacob King, who cited an alleged Epstein file document. He says the document shows a conversation between Jeffrey Epstein and Joichi Ito, a Japanese entrepreneur, suggesting that some Bitcoin core developers received hidden gifts. King also claimed that Israel paid the salaries of about 60% of Bitcoin developers. He further alleged that Epstein and Israel were major investors in Blockstream, and that Blockstream and Tether could influence Bitcoin's price and code. Pausing right there to say, I know it's bullshit, because if Blockstream could, adjust Bitcoin's price, Adam Back would definitely want it higher, not lower. Anyway, is the claim true at all? Well, let's break it down. There's no evidence that Israel controlled Bitcoin developers. The recent release of millions of documents by the U.S. Department of Justice under the Epstein Files Transparency Act has found no substantiated evidence that Israel hijacked control of the Bitcoin network. Also, the claim that Israel paid 60% of Bitcoin core developers is unsupported. Meanwhile, no document proves Israeli state payrolls or centralized hiring. Epstein had a minor indirect Blockstream investment, though. MIT Digital Currency Initiative records show that Jeffrey Epstein donated around $850,000 to MIT between 2002 and 2017. Perhaps this does not amount to control or major ownership of Bitcoin. In 2015, part of this money was reportedly used by MIT's Digital Currency Initiative to pay salaries of Bitcoin core developers like Gavin Andreessen and Vladimir Vanderlaan. This support came after the Bitcoin Foundation shut down and funding for developers became uncertain. So why is Israel being linked to the Bitcoin Foundation and MIT Media Lab? Well, the main Israel link comes through former Prime Minister Ehud Barak, or Ehud, however you want to pronounce it. Records show that Barak stayed at Jeffrey Epstein's New York home several times between 2013 and 17, the same period when claims of Israeli control over Bitcoin. Epstein also reportedly acted as a back channel for Israeli interests, helping arrange security deals in several different countries. In 2015, Epstein donated $850,000 to the MIT Media Lab. Prominent Israeli figures such as designer Niri Oxman were senior researchers at the Media Lab during the period that it was accepting Epstein's funds. Epstein was also connected to Bitcoin infrastructure as well. In 2014, he joined an $18 million funding round for Blockstream, a company that employs important Bitcoin developers. Yay. However, Blockstream CEO Adam Back later clarified that Epstein's stake was quickly sold and the company has no financial ties to him today. Probably because he's dead. So now the Tether allegations. Well, they're unrelated as well as unproven. Claims that Bitcoin's price can be manipulated using unbacked Tether are separate allegations. These claims do not prove that anyone controls the Bitcoin network, controls Bitcoin developers, or that any government is manipulating Bitcoin. So, here's the conclusion. Do the Epstein files reveal that Israel hijacked control of the Bitcoin network? Verdict, it's false, dude. It's completely false, at least according to Coinpedia. This insanity about Israel controlling everything it's as sick as Trump, or well, what do they call it? TDS, Trump dementia syndrome or Trump derangement syndrome. But we also had Biden derangement syndrome, where people on the right were so miffed about Biden that they attributed all the world's ills upon him. This is Israeli derangement syndrome. It's IDS, man. The mere thought that a country that small, in the geographic location that it is, sandwiched between countries that basically hate it, bordered by the Mediterranean Sea, is ludicrous. It does not control the United States. It does not control the city of London. It does not control London. It does not control England, the UK, or the EU. It just doesn't. It doesn't make any sense that it could. Would they might want to control everything? Sure. Every country is filled with control freaks, and you know where to find them? In Parliament, in Congress. That's where you find the control freaks. If you want to wipe out a complete roster of sociopathic filth, well, then those would be a target-rich environment, now wouldn't they? Don't go do that. But these people are sociopaths. They're psychopaths. They're sociopaths. They're control freaks. They're narcissists. They're corrupt. And every country has them. So yes, if they wanted to, or the question of would they want to control the United States? Would they want to control Bitcoin? Well, I'd have to say yes, they would, or at least those psychopaths would. The real question is, do they? No. That is fucking ridiculous. Please stop saying that Israel controls the United States. It doesn't control the United States. Is it possible that Israel has deep agents inside the United States, not only in the security architecture, but also in the legislative and possibly executive architecture? I believe so. Does the United States have deep integration with the same in Israel? Yeah, most likely. Do we in Russia? Yeah, most likely. Does the EU have deep agents within everything that they can get their hands on? Yeah, probably. Dude, it's a game that's been played for thousands of years. Israel doesn't control shit but Israel. I mean, you can still hate them if you want to, I guess. But if you're trying to hate them for something that they are incapable of executing, that sounds like a you problem, not a them problem. Staying with Tether, they've launched open source Bitcoin mining operating system to challenge proprietary softwares. Yay! Naga Avin Namoyo is writing this one for The Block. Tether has released an open source operating system for Bitcoin mining, offering miners a new alternative to proprietary vendor-controlled software as the company continues to broaden its interest in crypto infrastructure. The stablecoin issuer said on Monday it has open-sourced Mining OS, or MOS, an operating system designed to manage, monitor, and automate Bitcoin mining operations across deployments ranging from small home setups to very large industrial sites. Tether first previewed plans for an open-source mining operating system last year, arguing that new entrants should be able to compete in Bitcoin mining without depending on expensive closed-source management tools. Other firms like Jack Dorsey's Block have also pushed for more open mining infrastructure. Per Tether, MOS is built around a modular peer-to-peer architecture that allows operators to manage mining activity without relying on centralized services. The system is designed to coordinate hardware, energy usage, device health, and site-level infrastructure within a single operational layer, giving miners wider visibility across their operations rather than relying on fragmented software stacks. Quote, Mining OS is built to make Bitcoin mining infrastructure more open, modular, and accessible, said Paolo Ardoino, Tether CEO. Then he noted that the system can scale from single individual machines to industrial-grade sites spread across multiple geographies without locking operators into a third-party platform. MOS has been released under an Apache 2.0 open-source license and is designed to be hardware agnostic, according to Tether. The company also announced a mining software development kit, which is the framework underpinning MOS, and it said that it will be released and developed further in collaboration with the open source community in the coming months. Tether continues to expand beyond its core stablecoin business. The company reported more than $10 billion in net profits in 2025, driven largely by interest income on reserves, and has increasingly positioned itself across mining, payments, and infrastructure. Tether has also rolled out new products in recent months, including a push into tokenized commodities like gold and a United States-focused stablecoin dubbed USAT, while Arduino himself has downplayed direct involvement in USD stablecoin yield debates. So the real story here, of course, is the mining operating system that can scale from you, Joe Blow, with a single, Antminer S9 heating a hot tub or maybe a clothes dryer, all the way up to an industrial site in Texas and a sister operation in Omaha, Nebraska, and a cousin operation in fucking Russia. That is gold. I think that it's amazing that it can scale from a single machine to multiple geographically distinct sites of industrial size. That's actually really impressive. Does it work? Hell, dude, I don't know. I'm not a miner. Let's move on to Venezuela. Argentine fugitive has been arrested with $56 million in Bitcoin. Atlas 21 is writing this one. Venezuelan authorities have arrested Rosa Maria Gonzalez, one of the key figures in the collapse of Argentine crypto company Generacion Zoe. Nearly 4 years after that scandal defrauded tens of thousands of investors, Gonzalez, who is 30 years old, was captured in San Cristobal in Táchira State during an Interpol operation, and she's accused of fleeing Argentina with 611 Bitcoin worth $56 million at current prices. She spent years evading authorities, moving between Buenos Aires apartments with private security before crossing into Venezuela, according to local reports. Her arrest comes almost exactly 1 year after Leonardo Cositorto, founder of Generacion Zoe, was sentenced to 12 years in prison. Generacion Zoe promised investors unusually high returns, claiming to use proprietary trading algorithms with so-called, wait for it, quantum security. She was way ahead of her time, wasn't Mrs. Gonzalez at 30 years old. At 26, she was talking about quantum security. Yeah, she knew where shit was going. In reality, according to investors, the company operated a classic Ponzi scheme, paying old investors with funds from new participants. Gonzalez had allegedly introduced Cositorto, that's the guy's name, to the trading algorithms that became the centerpiece of the fraud. In promotional videos, she claimed the algorithms could generate monthly returns of up to 70%. 70%. I start giggling and laughing when people say 7% monthly returns. Right? This is a monthly return of 70%. Wow. That's amazing. After the company's collapse in mid-2022, Gonzalez remained active in the crypto world, attempting to devise new schemes. Sources report she tried to launch a new plan targeting Argentine investors, promising monthly returns of 5% on stakes of $1,000 or more, using crypto transactions through companies allegedly based in the United Kingdom. She reportedly funded former associates in Venezuela to recruit investors and manage the new project. Early reports suggest that the plan defrauded at least a dozen individuals, totaling approximately $300,000. Gonzalez's extradition to Argentina is expected to be difficult. Argentina severed diplomatic relations with Venezuela in 2024, and currently no embassy operates in Caracas. Brazil, which had handled diplomatic affairs, recently withdrew, leaving no country responsible for Argentine interests. Interpol officials have told local media that sending federal police to Venezuela is not safe, complicating any repatriation. Cositorto has called on Gonzalez to cooperate, expressing hope that her testimony could help recover some of the defrauded funds. Okay, so she's been apprehended in Venezuela. They say she is in possession of 611 Bitcoin, and we don't know in what format that's in. Is it a hardware wallet? Does she have 24-word seed phrase on her? Does she have it held in Coinbase? I doubt it, seriously. Whose property is it? It's certainly going to be stolen from her. And she's a fraudster. I don't give a fuck. But is Venezuela going to abscond with the Bitcoin? Is Argentina going to get the Bitcoin? And right now, it doesn't even look like Argentina can get a hold of the woman herself because there's no way to do it. So who ends up with the Bitcoin, and what do they do with the Bitcoin once they abscond with it permanently? Do they sell it? Do they keep it? Only time will tell. And we are coming to the end of our time here today on the Bitcoin and podcast, where ING Deutschland launches crypto ETPs and ETNs for retail. Not industrial, not institutional, not commercial. Nope. It's time for retail. And this is also from Atlas 21. ING Deutschland, the retail banking division of Dutch group ING, has expanded access to crypto investments through new partnerships with American asset managers Bitwise and Van Eck. The German bank has launched Bitwise exchange-traded products and Van Eck exchange-traded notes, as announced by the companies on Monday. Starting in February, ING Germany clients will be able to trade Bitwise crypto ETPs with minimum orders of 1,000 euros without execution fees, while smaller orders are subject to a $4.60 commission. The offering covers Bitwise's entire product range on Deutsche Börse Group's etc. platform, focusing on three key products: Bitwise Core ETP, Bitwise MSCI Digital Asset Select 20 ETP, and the Bitwise Physical Ethereum ETP. Van Eck crypto ETNs listed on ING include 10 securities linked to Bitcoin and a whole bunch of shitcoins. The new offerings add to investment vehicles already available on ING from 21 Shares, Wisdom Tree, and BlackRock's iShares. These products benefit from the same tax treatment in Germany as holding Bitcoin directly. If held more than 1 year, capital gains are tax exempt. Global crypto ETPs have recorded outflows of $3.43 billion in the past 2 weeks and $1 billion in year-to-date outflows, according to CoinShares. However, following the recent sell-off, Bitcoin ETFs rebounded on Monday, attracting $562 million in inflows, according to SoSo Value. And they've probably lost all that as of today. Where are we at? Yeah, we're at we're back down to 74,500. That's like a punt. That's like a kick in the crotch. And honestly, at this point, Bitcoin has moved to an extremely undervalued situation, and that's according to technical analysis that I just saw a couple of stories run across here. But yeah, this is just ugly. It's ugly all the way around. What is gold? Is gold seeing no? Gold is kind of stable. Let's see what silver is doing. Well, silver is actually down a little bit. It was actually up at 89. It is now down to 84. So, yeah, and the Dow Jones is down 0.75 of a point. The S&P is down 1 1.25, and the Nasdaq is down 1 3/4 point. They really did not like the jobs report today, guys. So that's not all of it, but that's definitely part of it. It's not helping Bitcoin. It's not helping you and me, but what are you going to do? Yeah, what are you going to go into? Gold? Are you going to get the physical? Are you going to buy the vault? Are you going to have it installed properly? Because guess what? That kind of installation is a lot more expensive than you think. That shit's got to be bolted to like the inner frame of a house, or like the rafters in a ceiling, or the under the floor, the rafters that are holding up the entire house. It's got to be bolted to something substantial. That means cutting away some sheetrock. That means getting somebody who knows what the hell they're doing to actually bolt it to, the internal framing of the walls. That means putting the sheetrock back. You've got at least 2 contractors, if not 3, involved in this shit already. And that's just to install the safe that you haven't bought yet. And then that is going to hold the gold and the silver that you haven't bought yet. And if you do buy, you're going to need to buy a lot more gold to where the installation and safe cost represents a mere 1% of the gold and metals that you hold. Now, sure, you can spend $1,000 on gold and $3,000 to install the safe and another $1,000 for a high quality safe. So you're in for $5,000 on the safe. Well, let's say $4,000 on the safe and it holds $1,000 worth of gold. Does that make sense? Well, I'll just buy paper. Okay, buy gold ETFs. Sure, dude, hold the paper. Congrats, brother. Congrats, because it's just worth the paper that it's written on. Anyways, just be aware, if you cannot hold the physical thing that has the supposed value, then you don't really own it. You have a claim on it, but where are you in the line of claimants? Are you preferred claimant? Are you just some pleb that says, "Hey, I bought it through, H&R, like Charles Schwab"? Yeah, you're last. If they've rehypothecated the gold and they don't have the gold to sell when you sell your ETF, your gold ETF, you're going to just wait. That's what's going to happen, and you've got no recourse. You have to hold the physical. So is it easier to hold Bitcoin or is it easier to hold metal? In my opinion, with a cold card from CoinKite, it's just easier to hold physical Bitcoin. And that's what I always recommend that people do. Hold your own keys so you can hold your own Bitcoin. I will see you on the other side. This has been Bitcoin and I'm your host, David Bennett. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and hope to see you again real soon. Have a great day.